Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Destiny from Destination Crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to make this super soft and squishy solid granny square throw. Make sure you follow along with the free pattern in the description box so you can learn all about the yarn and the hook size I use. Let's get started. Create a slip knot. However way that you're comfortable creating one, this is the way I do it. Chain 3. After you have chained 3, you're going to insert your hook in the first chain you created, and you're going to create a slip stitch. That's pulling the yarn through both loops, and you're going to locate the center of your circle you just created. It's not a part of a chain. You might have to find it a little because the yarn's very squishy, but there, it's right in the center. Now you're going to chain 2, and you're going to work 2 double crochets in the center. The chain counts as a stitch in this pattern. So find your center and work 2 double crochets, which gives you a total of 3 double crochets because the first chain counts as a double crochet. Okay, so now that we have our 3 stitches, the chain and the 2 double crochets, we are going to chain 2, and you're going to work 3 double crochets in the center of the circle. We have our next 3, chain 2. These are the chain 2s are the corners, and work 3 double crochets in the center. So now we have 3 sets of the double crochets. Now we're going to do chain 2 and do one more set of the 3 double crochets because we're going to make a square. So we're going to have 4 sets of double crochets with chain 2s in between for the corners. And it's completely okay if it feels really tight. That's because the yarn is very thick. So now we're going to chain 2 to complete our corner. So here is that chain we made. We're not going to slip stitch into that. We're going to slip stitch in the top of the first double crochet next to that chain. So slip stitch to join. So now you can see a mini square. Chain 2. And remember, this counts as a stitch. You're going to work in that very next space next to the chain 2. So you're going to put a double crochet right next to it. And you're going to work a double crochet in every stitch until you get to the corner. We are at our first corner. So in the corners of this blanket, you're going to work 2 double crochets. So here's the first one and the second one. And then you're going to chain 2 and work 2 more double crochets, and that'll be in every corner for the body of this blanket. Once you do that, you're going to make a double crochet in every stitch across, and don't forget that first stitch that's next to the corner. It's really easy to miss because of the yarn, so make sure you get that first stitch and do double crochets all the way to your next corner. So I approach my next corner, I'm counting, and I see I have 5 stitches, which is correct because I have to work 2 more stitches in the corner for this side, which is a total of 7. So on this blanket, you'll notice that as your rows grow, each row, the sides are going to increase by 4. So the first row were 3 double crochets. This next row is 7 double crochets on each side. Once I count my 7, I chain 2. And then I work 2 double crochets again in the the corner. And this counts as the first 2 in your double crochets of 7 for this whole row. So each side is going to have 7 double crochets. And don't forget that first stitch next to the chain 2 out of the corner. It's very easy to miss because of the thickness of the yarn. Sometimes if you are 1 stitch short, then it's because you probably missed that first stitch. So continue crocheting. Every side should have 7. Don't forget to chain 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in the corner. And I will meet you at the end of this row. We are at our next corner, so make your 2 double crochets. And before we chain 2, let's just count to make sure that we did the right amount of stitches. We should have 7. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. So now we could chain 2 and then do our 2 double crochets to turn the corner. Okay, we're at the beginning of the row again. Do not work in that chain. You work in the top of the first double crochet next to the chain and make a slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good, so we know we did the right amount of stitches. And that's pretty much it, guys. You are just going to now continue to repeat the same thing over and over again. So you're going to chain 2. Remember to work that first double crochet next to the chain 2. And then you're going to work in each and every stitch a double crochet all the way down the row. And you're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in the corner. And continue to work all the way around. Also, don't forget that first stitch after the corner that's easy to be hidden. And you'll know you're doing the right amount of stitches if each row increases by 4 from the previous row. So row 1 was 3 stitches on every side, row 2 was 7 stitches on every side, Row 3 should be 11 stitches on every side. The next row is 15 stitches on every side. So continue to make sure that it's increasing by 4. And if it's not, if it's one short, you probably missed that first chain or the first stitch next to those 2 double crochets out of the corner. So keep doing this and I will show you how to count your rows. So I did the next row and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I increased by 4 from the previous row. I'm going to attach to the first double crochet, not the chain. I'm going to do my slip stitch. It's okay, I've been struggling with this yarn too. It's so thick and squishy, you could fight with it a little bit, so it is okay. So the way we count our rows in this blanket is so easy. So there's the center. You start counting from the space next to the center. So there's the center, row 1, row 2, and row 3. So keep working your blanket until you have 18 rows. This blanket is so easy, but nobody will ever know how simple it was. All they're going to see is your beautiful blanket. So I will see you at the end of row 18 and I will show you how to make the border. Now that you've completed your 18 rows, you're going to cut off the white and you're going to fasten off. And grab your second color. You're going to insert the yarn in the top right corner of your blanket. Make sure the right side is facing up and you are going to tie a little knot just like you're tying the first part of a shoelace. You can make it nice and snug. You are then going to insert your hook in that corner space and draw up a loop. So just create a loop and chain 2. Work 4 more double crochets because in every corner of this border we're going to have 5 double crochets in the corner. Remember your chain counts as 1. We're making 5 so we could turn the corner and we don't want that space that we created in the blanket part. We want our border to be solid. So make 4 more double crochets to equal 5 including the chain. Now we have our 5 stitches in the corner. You're going to work double crochets all the way down the row. And don't forget that first stitch, it's easy to miss. So do double crochets all the way down the row. To that next corner. And if you want to hide your tail right now, you can just lay it flat against your stitches, and then just make the double crochets over it if you don't want to weave it in later. But if you want to weave it in later, that's perfectly fine. So keep making your double crochets and I will meet you at the corner. We are at our corner, so we're going to do 5 double crochets in that corner. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, perfect. Now you can turn and work double crochets down this row. Remember to do 5 double crochets in the corner and then work double crochets on the next row and do 5 double crochets in that corner. Continue until you are back at the beginning of the row, and I will meet you at the beginning of the row. So work those corners all the way around. We are down to our final stitches of the row. So you're going to keep making your double crochets until right before. You're not going to work into that chain stitch. You're going to work into the top of the first double crochet like we did in the body, and you're going to make a slip stitch to join our row. Let's look at how this border already sets this blanket off. The contrast is so beautiful. Next thing we're going to look for is the center of the corners. That's where our next corner for the next row is going to be. So since we have 5 stitches in the corner, the third double crochet is the middle. So you're going to slip stitch. So you insert your hook, pull through both loops on top of each double crochet until you get to the top of the third double crochet in the corner. Once you slip stitch and you're on top of the third, so I slip stitched on top of the first, second, and the third, you're going to chain 2 and you're going to work 4 double crochets in the same space as that chain 2. Because that chain counts as a double crochet, you're going to have 5 double crochets in that space, in that corner. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very good. So you're just going to continue to double crochet each stitch, and then when you get to those corner stitches, the third stitch is the middle of the 5. You're going to chain 5 double crochets into that third stitch. I will show you right when we get to that corner. So keep making your double crochets and meet me at the corner. Okay, so we are going to locate the center of the stitches from the previous row. So since there's 5 stitches in the previous row, the center would be the third stitch. So we already worked in the first stitch of that corner. We're going to do a double crochet in the second stitch, and then in that third stitch of that corner from the previous row, we're going to work 5 double crochets in that corner. So there's a second stitch. Now we're on top of the third stitch, which is the middle, and you're going to work 5 double crochets in that same space. So we have the first stitch, second stitch, third stitch. Here we are. Now do 4 more double crochets to make a total of 5. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very good. So you're going to continue to work double crochets in each stitch all the way down the row, but then in that corner, you're going to go down to that previous row of those 5 double crochets. You're going to find the third one, and you're going to work 5 double crochets in that same third stitch to turn that corner. And you're going to repeat that all the way around until the beginning. So make sure you find that third stitch, and that's where the 5 double crochet corners are. I'm at my final few stitches, so if you're having a hard time working through those slip stitches, then just work over them to the double crochet underneath it. It won't be noticeable at all. Now slip stitch to join at the top of the double crochet. You're now going to repeat that same thing over and over again. The border is just as easy as the blanket. And now there is nothing new anymore. You're going to slip stitch until you find that third stitch from the previous row, and you're going to start there. So slip stitch all the way to the top of the third one. 2, 3, good. Chain 2. And you're going to make 4 double crochets in that same space. And then you'd continue all the way down like you did before, locating that third stitch from the previous row and working the 5 double crochets in each of that third stitch corner all the way around. And you just repeat exactly what we just did. So feel free to refer back to the video to repeat this row. And you're going to do that until you have made 5 rows. And I will show you the end of the 5th row. At the end of row 5, you're going to slip stitch to join. Once you're done, you can cut your yarn, fasten off, weave in all your tails, and you have made the salt and pepper throw. So remember to make sure you have 18 rows of the body and 5 rows of the border. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Also, if you make this blanket, please tag me at Destination Crochet on Instagram so I can see your beautiful work. I hope you love this blanket as much as I do.